7, the glutton, tricksters, dreamers, and charlatans. The Type 7 lives in pursuit of fullness, more life, more excitement, more everything. But underneath the smile is a hidden ache, a child who never felt safe to stop moving. They learned early that happiness must be chased, that stillness means pain. So they turn life into an adventure to escape the wound. Gluttony here isn't about food, it's about experience. It's the hunger to taste every possibility before it fades. The 7 believes joy must be multiplied to keep pain away, but the more they chase stimulation, the emptier they feel. It's not greed for pleasure, it's fear of limitation. The 7's core fear is deprivation, being trapped without options. Their fixation, planning, creates the illusion of freedom. If they keep life open-ended, they never have to face loss, but planning becomes a cage made of possibilities. Their mind runs forward so they never have to stay still. Inside every 7 is a small child pretending to be grown. They charm, joke, and talk their way through discomfort. They replace emotional honesty with cleverness. The quote-unquote good child mask says, "I'm fine, see? I can handle life." But the more they talk, the less they feel. Their mind sparkles, quick, imaginative, and articulate. They can outthink and outtalk almost anyone, but intellect becomes a drug, a way to stay high. Their self-image as bright and special becomes insecurity. They live on admiration, mistaking applause for love. The 7's deepest lie is to themselves. Everything is okay. They can't bear sadness or boredom, so they fill every silence. Their optimism becomes armor. Pain is not denied through darkness, but through laughter. Pleasure becomes anesthesia, not joy. They rebel against control, against rules, morality, and even truth. But rebellion hides dependence. They're ruled by the need to feel good. They mock what limits them, calling it freedom. Yet, in rejecting structure, they lose grounding. They become a slave to their own liberty. 7s fall in love with ideas. They live more in possibilities than presence. Dreams sparkle brighter than the real world until they dull. Then the 7 moves on to the next thrill. They confuse imagination with aliveness and fantasy with freedom. They hide fear behind a smile, anger behind humor, and need behind charm. They seduce the world while secretly exploiting it for attention. They act generous while avoiding genuine intimacy. The lie is subtle. If I stay happy, I won't have to feel hurt. But that denial keeps them hollow. The 3 7s spin gluttony in different directions. The conservation 7 grounds pleasure in the material world. The social 7 idealizes pleasure through intellect and virtue. And the sexual 7 romanticizes pleasure through love and fantasy. Together, they reveal the full spectrum between cynicism and idealism. So here we have the conservation 7. This is the earthy, hustling 7. Cynical and pragmatic, always seeking comfort and safety. It survives through cleverness. It's a streetwise strategist. Pleasure is a survival tool, not an indulgence. When fear creeps in, they fill the pantry with money, food, or lovers. Manic highs and depressive crashes define their rhythm. The sexual 7, the dreamer and eternal child, romantic and excitable and passionate, but undisciplined. They fall in love with love itself. They live through life as if it's a movie, magical, intense, and unreal. They avoid adulthood by turning desire into fantasy. When disillusioned, they collapse into a rage or despair. And last, we have the social seven, the moralist and the intellectual. This seven strives to be good, admired, and community-minded. This seven also transforms gluttony into virtue, the anti-glutton. They repress indulgence, but secretly crave admiration. This seven plays the role of the idealist helper, the Rasputin archetype, energizing others while avoiding their own emptiness. Each subtype distorts love in its own way. The SP7 uses love as protection. I'll keep you safe. The sexual 7 uses love as celebration. Let's stay in ecstasy forever. The social 7 uses love as admiration. I'll earn your respect. But each replaces intimacy with performance. Love is projection, not presence. Behind the gluttony is a childhood of scarcity. Many sevens grew up in chaos, violence, absence, or need. They learned to stay alert, clever, and self-reliant. Optimism became their armor, self-reliance their pride. They became adults too early, then spent adulthood trying to play again. The more they fill life, the emptier they feel. Pleasure cannot replace nourishment. Distraction cannot replace connection. They confuse want with need, excitement with love. True healing begins when they stop running and let the emptiness speak. The primary defense of the Enneagram 7 is rationalization. They justify indulgence as balance and distraction as freedom. Pain is analyzed instead of felt. They intellectualize emotions to stay in control. This defense preserves gluttony but kills depth. Eventually, the enthusiasm burns out. The bright ideas dim, the charm fades. They face the hangover of their own excess, depression, exhaustion, and emptiness. Their manic joy collapses into despair. In that fall lies their redemption, if they dare not escape. Freedom doesn't come from more, it comes from enough. To heal, the 7 must stop escaping and start feeling. To find joy, they must allow pain. Sobriety and gratitude bring them home to presence. They discover that the world's beauty isn't in variety, it's in depth. Then the Enneagram 7 learns that the feast was never outside them. Only when the hunger is faced does the joy become real. The hunger is sacred, not something to banish, but to understand. When they sit with emptiness instead of feeding it, the frantic child becomes a wise soul who can finally rest. Before we go into the subtypes of Enneagram 7, we will back up a bit to some of the subtypes that got a spotlight in our Discord lecture, but did not get transferred over into our YouTube. Bear with me, and we will move on to the Enneagram 7 subtypes shortly.